We're in the middle of a mid-season break right now in Formula 1, and F1 in 2025 has been very different from what many people were expecting. Despite this being the final season before a regulation change, the cars have changed in terms of performance, and in today's video I am going to be giving a ranking for every single team so far based on where they are and kind of where we expected them to be. If you enjoy the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get into the video. Let's start then with Alpine, who are in last place in the Constructors' Championship. Alpine ended 2024 looking like they had the potential to be the best midfield team going into 2025. They ended the season on a high, and they had some excellent results. Not only did they get that fantastic double podium, but also the team were looking very competitive at a number of races. But fast forward to the middle of 2025, and Alpine are at the bottom of the standings. And honestly, they don't really look like they will be getting off of the bottom. We do see them occasionally qualify well with Pierre Gasly, but frankly, Alpine is a one-driver team, and it is being hampered by Renault power. This is the final season for Renault in Formula 1, and the only bang they are going out with is an engine blow-up. It has been very disappointing, and throughout the entire turbo hybrid era, Renault have been behind the competition. But it is not just the power that is lacking. The car has been struggling on traction and the bumps. Not only that, but Franco Colapinto has been very error prone, and he has continued to have a number of crashes, just like he did when he was at Williams. I have a feeling Alpine are fully focused on 2026 now, and entering a new era when they will be powered by Mercedes. Honestly, it is an F for Alpine, and it is not even close to being any better than that. Going into 2025, Haas were looking like they were in a strong position as well. Their 2024 season was a very impressive season, and we saw real progress from them after Gunther Steiner left the team, and 2025 has been fairly solid for them. However, they have changed their driver lineup, and while Oliver Behrman has shown flashes of pace and performance, he has been pretty inconsistent, and he has also racked up a good number of penalty points, despite being a British driver. That being said, he is a rookie, and an impressive one when he puts it all together. When he improves his consistency, which will come with time, he will be a very solid driver. Teammate Esteban Ocon has not been quite as fast as Behrman at times, but he has been a very much more complete driver, which you would expect, and he is sitting in 10th place in the Drivers' Championship, showing that there is a lot of performance in the Haas. For Haas, they could be in 7th or 8th if Behrman was a little bit more experienced and a little bit more consistent. But that is down to the lack of experience, which again will come with time. I will give Haas a D+ so far this season. Racing Bulls are next, and Racing Bulls are a very interesting team, at least to me. In qualifying, we have seen some excellent performances, particularly from Isaac Hadjar, and even more recently, Liam Lawson has started to show some good performances as well. However, as we have seen throughout the entirety of the ground effect era, Racing Bulls may qualifying well, but as soon as the race gets started, they start to sink like a stone. We have seen some more dodgy race strategies from the team, and generally, they do tend to struggle during the race. This has meant that they have not maximised the potential points that the car could score, leaving them a lot further down the field than where they should be. Personally, I don't see why they are not up there with Williams. They have the potential, but they must execute races better. I am going to give Racing Bulls a D. The car is great, but the team must do better. Going into the season, Sauber were expected to be rock bottom in the Constructors' Championship, and at the beginning of the season, it was looking like that may be the case. But Sauber in their final season, being known as Sauber, have not gone down quietly, and after an upgrade at the Spanish Grand Prix, they have been frankly incredible. Nico Hülkenberg is maybe struggling in qualifying this year, but when it comes to the races, Hülkenberg is generally maximising his opportunities, and because of this, he finds himself in 9th place in the Drivers' Championship. Teammate Gabriele Bortoleto has shown some brilliant pace over one lap too, and as the season has gone on, we have seen him improve his race performances as well, as he has started to get a little bit more consistent. The team is having an excellent season after a very slow start, and who could forget, of course, Nico Hülkenberg scoring an incredible podium at Silverstone, and also overtaking Lewis Hamilton at the Spanish Grand Prix. Admittedly, he did have fresher soft tyres, but even so, a Sauber should not be overtaking a Ferrari. Sauber are having an excellent season, and because of that, I am going to give Sauber a B+. They are performing much better than I expected from them. Aston Martin going into the season were looking like they were potentially on the back foot. Pre-season testing was not very impressive from them. It looked like they were desperate for Adrian Newey to get started, to be honest. The first couple of races were frankly a disaster as well for Fernando Alonso, and it was looking pretty embarrassing, especially considering where they were in 2023. But fast forward to now, and it looks like Aston Martin are getting their season properly underway. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll are tied on points, but really, points don't tell the full story for Fernando Alonso, as once again, he has been the lead driver very consistently. Lance Stroll has scored a good number of points, especially during wet and tricky races, but overall, Alonso has been the star driver, especially in qualifying and also during the Grand Prix. As the season progresses, I expect that we will see more of a resurgence from Aston Martin, especially at races like Zandvoort. For Aston Martin, I am going to give them a C+. They are so close to being a B, but they started the season pretty slowly. I just want to say if you are enjoying the video so far, then I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now though, let's get back to the video and let's talk about Williams. For Williams then, they are at the top of the midfield and we have seen some very impressive performances, especially from Alex Albon, and we have seen Albon consistently take the fight to some of the top drivers in the top 4 cars. It has been very impressive, and the car has been strong, especially at Miami and also Spa. But Williams does have an Achilles heel, and we have seen that being more obvious at circuits where high downforce is required, as we've seen pretty much throughout the entire turbo hybrid era. So for a good 11 years or so now, Williams have struggled when it comes to higher downforce. That being said, there is some very good races coming up for them as a team. Italy and Azerbaijan should be very strong races, and we could see them getting into the mix, potentially with a top 5 if all things go well for them. For Williams, I'm going to give them a very solid B. For Red Bull then, I don't think there is a lot to say that is very positive. It has been a disaster of a season, and frankly, they are lucky that they have the best driver in the sport with Max Verstappen, because without him, they are absolutely nowhere. The car still has the same balance issues that they had last year. However, their overall performance is not as strong as it was last year, so they can't just get away with it and drive around the issues. Max Verstappen himself has said at times he just has no grip. The car is so poorly balanced that we have seen them really struggle when traction zones are presented to them. The team started the era on top and dominated in 2023. But in 2025, they are not even close. Teammate Yuki Tsunoda has been nowhere near the points quite a lot this season, and in fact, he finds himself almost at the bottom of the Drivers' Championship, which is unacceptable when you're in a Red Bull. Important members of the team are leaving Red Bull, and Red Bull themselves find themselves in for a tricky end to 2025 and a potentially nightmare 2026 season. The saving grace for them is that they are the best team when it comes to executing races, and generally they do get the strategy right. For Red Bull then, it is a D. They are very thankful that they have Max Verstappen. For Mercedes then, it has been a very strange season. They have scored victory in Montreal with George Russell, and Kimi Antonelli even got himself onto the podium. And the start of the season as well was very, very strong, and we saw Russell racking up a good number of podiums. Really, Mercedes would be second in the Constructors' Championship if they didn't have a rookie in the second car. But as the season has progressed, Mercedes themselves have regressed in terms of overall performance. That being said, Mercedes are still getting some great results, as George Russell did score a podium at Budapest. Kimi Antonelli is still a very young rookie, so I will cut him some slack. But he has been really struggling, and just maybe a call to Mercedes was a bit much for young Kimi, and he would have been better either having a second season in F2, or he should have had a seat somewhere like Williams. For Mercedes, they have a very solid season so far, and they should be second in the Constructors' Championship. The car is good, but it looks like they have been overtaken by Ferrari when it comes to performance. For Mercedes then, I will give them a C+. For Ferrari then, the beginning of the season, there was a lot of hype around them. They ended 2024 being right there with McLaren in terms of pace and performance, and they had an all-star driver lineup heading into 2025 with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. However, this season has been pretty shaky for them compared to their closest rivals. It started off looking like they were behind McLaren, Mercedes and Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, and Ferrari were potentially the fourth fastest team. There was a lot of limitations in the car, and we saw them really struggling when the car was not running close to the ground. Some upgrades have followed, and it has vastly improved the car, and they are now in general the second fastest car, as Charles Leclerc has racked up plenty of podiums. Teammate Lewis Hamilton, however, has been really shaky, especially in race pace, as he has really struggled with long run pace and keeping the tyres alive. That being said, he is still directly behind Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship, and is slowly getting closer in overall pace and performance. Apart from, of course, at Budapest, which was frankly a disaster for Hamilton. For Ferrari, it was a slow start, but it has got better, and they are now P2 in the Constructors' Championship, so I'm going to give them a B. But they should be closer to McLaren, and if they were, then they'd probably be in the A's, but because they're not, it's just a B. And finally for McLaren then, it has been pure domination this season. Verstappen was close at the beginning of the season, but McLaren has continued to improve their car, and now Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have left the competition for dead, and they are really the only two drivers in the Drivers' Championship fight. Going into the season, many expected Lando Norris to be the lead driver, but Oscar Piastri has really stepped up this season, and Piastri is still leading the Drivers' Championship with some incredible performances, and in general, he has been the more consistent driver, whereas Lando Norris has made a lot of critical errors, especially during qualifying. That being said, Norris has started to get a lot more consistent and a lot more comfortable with the car, and the results have started to show for Lando. McLaren are continuing to move further away from the rest of the competition, and the car works very well at pretty much every type of circuit. McLaren have practically won both championships already. It is just a matter of which driver will win the Drivers' Championship. For McLaren, they are by quite some distance the class of the field. A+. So those are my rankings for all of the teams. Do you agree or do you disagree? In the comment section, please do let me know down below and give your rankings for each of the teams. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, as always, please comment, leave a like and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.